OG Yasuke, what's good?
What's going on, man?
Well, yeah, let's jump into it, shall we?
Yeah, it's good.
A bunch of questions for you. So, tell me a little bit about what you started your production on.
Started on
Mm-hmm.
uh, freshman year of college. I'd say, what's that, 2006. I downloaded Fruity Loops on the homie's computer, on the homie's laptop, the demo. And that's where it started. It wasn't even my computer. It was
Dope.
somebody else's. Yeah. So everybody that knows about having the demo, you couldn't save anything. So you had to fully flesh out whatever idea you had and export it right then and there. But yeah, that's how it started.
Tell me a little bit about this 40 Acres Records as well.
40 acres.
Uh, mm-hmm.
40 acres is me and the homies. Uh, they're all out in Dallas. I'm the only one that's not in Dallas currently. Uh, that's just our label. It's just us. It's us, pretty much. Nameless, Yo Funk Ruler, uh, Eno, Show, Daily Breed, Nameless. Just a bunch of beat makers, came together to make a home for us and us alike.
Mm-hmm.
We're like the seven deadly venoms. Everybody has their own style. Everybody's dangerous.
Oh, for sure. The stealth assassin you are, the
Yeah,
elusive one.
yeah,
And you made all the joins you made for the projects were in Koala?
yep, yep. For Country Cousin, everything. What, 16 tracks? 14 of them were in Koala. Two of them are in Serato Studio, which I used to be on Ableton, but when Serato Studio came out, it was like I need something to make. I don't like doing too much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In Ableton, I was doing too much sound design, too much tweaking. So once Serato came out and it kind of took a lot of that control away from me, it was like, yeah, this is where I need to be. Now I can make it. Just make what I want to make and get it out.
Interesting. And is it also one of the reasons why you transitioned to Koala? How did you transition to Koala in the first place?
Just one of those things. It looked dope. It just looked dope. That's all it was. But as the updates came and came and came, it just got better and better and better. And there was no need for me to go back to the typical way of making beats using a DAW or using a sampler. It's like, nah, I got the phone right here. I got the iPad. I'm always on my phone. I always need my phone for something, for work or wherever it is. So when an idea pops up, I can get it down right then and there. I don't have to worry about forgetting it.
Mm-hmm. And the transition to was it because you enjoyed the simplicity of, like, was it similar to Serato's situation?
Well, pimping is easy when the player look good. You know what you want, champ?
Yeah. Same way with when I was on the SP. Like strip away all of the pleasantries and being able to do this and that. And just can you make it? Does it slap?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make it hit? Is it a
Mm-hmm.
bop? Is it a vibe? Can you do that? Just strip all of that away and get back down to the basics of it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I dig that a lot because they do not sound uh flat or simple. Your joints are like they slap.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, do you use resampling a lot in Koala, or do you just sequence it out?
No, just sequence it out. I think about it sometimes. There's certain things that I used to do in DAWs that I found a workaround for it in Koala. I just haven't done it. Little small things like panning the well, now that we have the update in Koala for auto pan, I used to auto pan my hi-hats. My hi-hats used to always move throughout tracks, and I kind of stopped doing it, but I can do it now if I resample. But that's getting back into doing too much. It's like it feels like I waste time because I'm doing so much with the intricacies of what I could be doing instead of just make it slap. Trying to keep it simple.
And how does your routine look like? How do you go about, like, is it spread over a day, or do you sit down and finish the song in one go?
It depends. I mean, some tracks have taken me 15 minutes. Some tracks have taken me a week. Depending on how I feel with it. But a lot of times, for the most part, I'll get it knocked out in an hour or two. Some things I let sit, come back to it. Most of the times I'm just one go because I'm from those FL days. Is get it out now because you won't have a chance to come back.
Do you have like set times for that? Is it like something you do before work, during the work, after work, normally?
Now with the way my work schedule is, I really only do anything music-wise Friday through Sunday. That's when everything gets done, and it's kind of an all-day thing. You know, it's making a beat all day, sleep, wake up. I wake up to it. I go to sleep to it. I'm happy if I can get 2 done in a day, or at least 2 good ideas in a day. I'm happy with that. Because I used to try like, yeah, I need a beat a day. I need 2 beats a day. You know, the 10,000 hours. But then when I think about it, I've been making music in some form or fashion since '99. So I'm pretty sure my hours is up. I don't have to put that much pressure on myself.
But you still had this in the back of your head, this like getting the hours and getting the training in to sharpen this sword, basically. That's dope. And since you do it in chunks now, do you have like a template, or do you always just start with a empty project and go from there?
Now that Koala has a mixer, you know, it just everything is fresh from that point. When before Koala's mixer and I was doing all my mixing and stuff in AUM, I eventually got around to having a template to make it easy. Like all these years, I never had the template. Everything was just right then and there. Build it all from square one. But in AUM, I had a template to where everything was routed, buses and stuff like that.
So basically, yeah, you would load your project in Koala, I take it, and then it was already like all your splits and sidechain, I guess.
Well, not that, it was just AUM was like that. AUM already had all of my Koala instances saved and everything. They would all be blank too. So I just come in and I hop in my drum bus and do what I need over there. Go over the samples, do what I need there, so on and so on. Yeah, for the most part, yeah, like all of my compression and sidechain and most of that stuff was already saved. Each track would be a different little tweak with however it needed to be, but that kind of saved time on the mixing side of everything.
Like samples, when you start from scratch, do you have an approach to that, like, do you collect samples in a batch as well? Do you like first collect a bunch of them and then flip them on the weekend, or do you take just as you go, basically?
Whatever happens, because I'm on, let's say I'm on Instagram and just scrolling through reels and I hear a sound, I'm gonna take it right then and there, and I'll start a beat right then and there. And then,
That's dope.
all right, it's like, all right, I got little drums going. Okay, this might be how I want to chop it up, and then I'm done with it. I go back to rummaging around the internet. It's just regular stuff too. I'm not necessarily searching for anything, because then it gets kind of overwhelming when it's like, all right, I need this. I want to sample a Polish prog rock. I have to search and dig and comb through, when really I can just watch reels or just scroll through TikToks, and it's a song I never heard of, and it's a funny video, but I'm like, nah, I like what's going on in the background. So I'll screen record it, drop it in the Koala, split stems if I need to, keep it rocking. Then I'm right back to normal business of just scrolling through social media like I'm not 3/4 of the way in on the beat, you know. And I'll come back to it a little bit later and like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. All right. And then I'll leave again. It's just a back and forth. Everything's random. Everything's spur of the moment.
And you mentioned like you are actually the first person whom I've heard sampling from IG regularly. Is it just your feed, or have you found like a bunch of accounts that?
Just the feed. It's just the feed, because we're bombarded with so much. You know, if you just sit there and notice, like, there's really dope stuff going on in the background of what the actual video is or is talking about. It's like, oh, I never heard that song before. I'm not in the mood for searching to figure out what song that is. I'm gonna just take this chunk right here, this 30 seconds right here, and I'm gonna make it do what it do with this. Even with vocals. Even with vocals, there's quite a few vocals that I've used on some things, like the Project Pat one I had a couple months ago, where it was the old dude from Family Guy that was rapping it, and drums was like, was that him? I'm like, yeah, it came randomly across my feed. I needed that.
So I take it this is where Koala's stem split feature comes in really handy. You use that a lot?
Yeah, yep, a lot. I've taken bass lines. I've taken, I bust everything down.
And yep. you mentioned Mixer, that it, like, you stopped using AUM because you can do everything now in Koala directly?
Yep, pretty much. One less step.
So I take it made you faster as well? Is it like an improvement in?
I guess you could say that, but it really only takes, it's not much time that it takes off of it, because of how I do everything. It's kind of the same. It's like, it's almost the same workflow I had in Ableton. It's the same workflow I had in FL. It's just one less application I got to use. You know, granted, yeah, if I use AUM, I have a plethora of VSTs and stuff to use to get the sound that I want, to make it sound like this and that third. But if I'm getting a nice sound out of just Koala, I'm cool with that. If I need to go in like album mode and I need to jump back into AUM, I could do that. Or if I wanted to record it into Luna, it's like I can do that. But I'm cool with just the bare bones. Like, nah, we right here in the box. This is what you can do right here. It sounds crazy, don't it? Yeah, this is what you can do right here. Like me doing live scratches now using the tape delay in Koala. I can do live scratches now. I don't have to scratch over here on my PTO1, record that in, and then chop up my scratches to make it No, I can do it right here in the box, kind of, sort of, and it works. It works for what I'm trying to get accomplished.
That's actually, now that you mention it, my mind was blown by you doing this with the tape delay.
It was
Did
an
you just
accident. It was
okay?
an accident. Just playing around with it, and I
Uh-huh.
noticed like, hey, this kind of when you turn this up and you turn this up and then you go take the mix in and out, it kind of sounds like I'm doing scratches. It sounds like a couple chirps. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still tweaking it, getting it down. It's not a 100% situation, but yeah, it sounds dope. It's been working.
Do you do this a lot, like just playing around with the effects and seeing what they?
Sometimes, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's like with that tape delay when it was just an accident. It's like everything was turned up and the mix was up, and I was like, hold up, and I turned it off, and then I turned it back up again, and then I went off
Mm-hmm.
again. I was like, okay, here we go. Yeah, I've been wanting to do something like this. It's not the record stop from uh, uh, low fly tape or the warble that's in Koala now. This is like, oh, it sounds like somebody scratching for real.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've been wanting to add that back in to my tracks for a while now. But now I don't have to plug up the turntable. So one less step again.
Uh-huh. And it looks like you're reducing a lot, right? So it's almost like yeah, again, a philosophy that you have to, like, how can I reduce the amount of, like, additional steps in the production?
Yep.
How does it make you listen more, or what exactly does it free up time to uh what does it free up your mind for?
I don't know. I
Just
really don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's too much going on. I got to reduce.
mhm,
Like even in my normal life, I try to keep a low carbon footprint. It's like
mhm,
you don't know I was here, but you can tell I probably left my mark there. Like, yeah, he was here. I like to
mhm,
be in and out just to go. It's just been that way. So I can't really, I don't know. It's something about
mhm,
just reducing everything to be like, okay, yeah. Like even Drum said one time, he was like, I know your beat when it comes on
mhm,
because there's something about it. And it's like, yeah, I'm just taking out all that extra in the process of it, not necessarily with EQing or stuff like that, not even getting into it that way. It's just I'm reducing a lot of the decision making. It's like just go back to, okay, chop, 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 drum, drum, drum. Yeah. Did slap? Nah, it don't slap yet. All right, so let me add these shakers here. There's a different snare here, just one. Not
mhm.
a consistent one, just one snare here. All right, yeah, there we go. It's like I take this big painting, strip it down, and then repaint it with less strokes.
Mhm.
How can I still make it look good with less strokes? I don't
Mhm.
know. Just it's a weird concept, hard to explain because I've never had to explain it.
And speaking of drums, do you have, like, your favorite go-tos, like a special set that you have for your drums, or
Kind of, sort of,
what do
I guess. It depends. If I feel like chopping break beats, I have that Young Guru break beats that came out a couple years ago, which was just like everybody's stuff. I still haven't fully went through it, and I've had it for so many years. It's just one of those things where it's like randomly scroll through. All right, I like this. I'll take this snare. randomly go. It's so much to go through. But I do use, I've always used a lot of stolen drum stuff over the years, especially the fresh baked one shots just recently. Those were getting a lot of use. Nameless had a drum kit that came out about a year or two ago. Taki, I've used his. Amano Mari's, that I've been using a lot of his stuff lately too. When I really feel like getting into it, I'll chop up a handful of break beats to make my own little kit, I guess, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I want to go back into my old stuff and find certain drums from older songs. That's why I like that when I save a song in Koala, and if I want to, I can bring up the samples and I can go to each song and go in and pick from those drums out of that song, and I don't have to go searching all over again and find out where did I get the hi-hat from. It's probably in this song. If I remember correctly, this song had this hi-hat I like. Grab that and throw it in.
Is this like the main organization for your samples and drums? Like just songs, or do you have a sample library that you store somewhere? Nah. Screen recording.
Yep, I need I have almost 2,000 screen recordings in my phone right now. From taking stuff over the last, how long Koala been out? Maybe 4 going on 5 years now. So yeah, I have probably like 2,000 screen recordings. Some stuff I haven't even used. It was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use that, and never got around to it, and then found 12 other samples to screen record, and it just got lost in the matrix. I definitely have a lot of organization I got to do. Nothing's organized. It's just organized chaos. If I find it, I find it.
Interesting. That's dope. It's for the drums, you go back into projects, and then screen recordings got you covered on samples, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I joke with my buddy Funk Ruler about 40 Acres. It's like, yeah, we're like the Wu-Tang of beat makers, but I'm the ODB because there is no rhyme or reason for anything I do. You never know what's gonna happen, or how I'm gonna do it, or how I get there. A lot of my songs, people will be more amazed in the process of it than the actual final product. It's like, if you knew how I got here, you'd be like, oh man, that's crazy. That makes this song extra dope.
These bitches getting nasty with a little bit of change, but I can't blame if they maintain.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one thing that I know from you haven't heard this before is sidechain vocals, like the ducking vocals. You sometimes do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like you do this on purpose? Is it like did you find it, or is it like one of those incidents that this guy, oh yeah, sounds dope?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna throw you all the way. It's almost like throwing you all the way inside of the track. For me, sometimes, like, it's like, damn, even the vocals are disappearing on you. It's like a pressure that is putting on you. It's like it kind of sort of makes you feel what's going on inside of the song, kind of like the heartbeat to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing that on the vocals. I've eased off of it, but every now and then it's like, yeah, you don't need to hear all this. What you need is the kick. What you need is the kick, and everything just jumping behind it.
Do you then you lay out the full track? Because I see you jumping a lot between patterns when you post screen recordings of your things. Like, how is it shifting this? Do you lay out the full track a lot, like the fully sequenced? Like, I don't know, I would just
yeah, I know what you mean. That's another one of those depends. Like I just did the Duke Westlake challenge today, and I fully sequenced that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's like, all right, 4-bar loop, all right, cool. I need a beat section. If I get a good another 4-bar that's pretty close, it's like, all right, is there anything else I can do? Nah. All right, well, let me go ahead and double these. Both of these are 8-bar loops, put them behind each other, and then I'll just play around with it to get that variation between everything. But sometimes I run into a problem where I can't necessarily switch between sequences. And there are certain things that I want to do. And that's when I'll go ahead and give you full 32 bars, 64 bars. But I already have it programmed in my head where I need to do this mute out or do this record stop or whatever. Usually if I do the full thing, it's because it's something that I couldn't do that I needed to just go ahead and have the whole thing tracked out and just manually automate. That's another thing that should probably come to Koala at some point, is automation.
Right, yeah. We're all waiting on that.
Yeah, make my job easier. You can even hear the mistakes in my songs if you listen closely. You can even hear the mistakes in some of the stuff that's going on. But somehow I do it so smoothly, I hear all of it, and it bugs me. And I never know until after I put the song out. It's like, wish I could take that back.
Do you have this philosophy of just like when it's out, not returning to that?
When it's done, it's done. There's very few tracks that I've returned to. The last track on the beat tape, Sundays, is actually one that I came back to because I didn't like the mix on the original, but I didn't have the song saved. So I had to go in and re-chop it and everything. So the chops on the beat tape are the same from the original, but it's the better mix. So even though that was the last song made for it, even though, yeah, it sounds good, it's just not the exact same chops. And that's one of those small things that just bothers me. But it's out, it's done. Everybody liked it, and I'm cool. On to the next one.
And so therefore, things that you don't fully sequence out, they are basically screen recordings. So you just turn on the screen recording and perform them.
Yep. Then I'll probably take that screen recording and drop it back into Koala, make it into a file, and then export the file. Usually, for the most part.
That's interesting. And you don't even go like you don't throw that into, I don't know, Luna or Ableton or something for the and so raw.
But actually, when I was using AUM, I could actually, it would still be all the live everything, but you can actually record it. I'm pretty sure you can do that in Koala too, but that just hasn't been my thing. I'm just gonna screen record what I'm doing, and I usually just put that video out. And if I decide to put that, like majority, if you look at my social media, I'd probably say 90% of the music that's on my social media you can't even listen to unless it's in that video.
Cyrus, the people want to know, can we get an whoop? Thank you.
Like, that's the only place you can get it. You can go to my Bandcamp and get the 2 tapes that I've dropped in 2020, and then earlier this year. I got 3 tapes on there. But for the most part, all my music is right there in your face, live at the moment. Like, yeah, this was Sunday's vibe. This was Saturday's vibe. Here's Friday night's pop. Right then and there, you get it fresh, and it's like, oh, maybe I could put this on a tape or something like that. But it never happens. I'm a hoarder. I got that Scrooge McDuck vault of music that everybody wants.
So that's another habit that you developed, right? So just putting out the screen recordings on the social media. This is like not the. another simplification of the process. Very effective though, because yeah, you get a lot out there.
Like I used to try and make little videos for it, and you know, it was just more time being spent elsewhere. It was like, So then I went back to just giving you the screen recordings of Koala instead of trying to come up with a dope video for it, which I might jump back into that soon. I mean, this the Westlake one was the first one where I was like, all right, let me actually do some kind of little visual with it.
We spoke about this automation in Koala that hopefully will get in our hands sooner or later. Is there something else that like you would like to add to your production stack?
I don't know. I really take things as they come. Like even with all the Koala stuff, as long as I've been on there, I've never made a request for none of the features that's been added. You know, it's just like I let other people work for me. It's like, yeah, I see your complaint. It's not really a complaint for me, but I hope they change that for you, because if they change that for you, that's gonna make it better for me. You know, so I try not to get into what else do I need. I'd rather work with the handicap. Give me the handicap and let me show you what I can do. Yeah, I'll always find a workaround. That's what I've always did since the FL days. It's like, well, I can't save it, so let me learn how to do everything I need to do right here and now, so that once I'm done making this, I can export it, and that's the end of it. I think I finally had an official copy maybe 2017. So that was like 11 years off and on of make it now, export, so that you have it for later.
Excellent. So yeah, that actually confirms that this is like a trained skill, basically. It's like finishing and going with what you have now.
Good times, fun times. I mean, I come from being in band in middle school where every time you play it, it's not the exact same. So you have to, I've come from having to be perfect. Being a drummer in band and concert band, you have to be perfect. It has to hit here. That's why having swing took so long for me, because I'm so used to being right on, perfect, spot on. Is that internal metronome. So it took a while for me to get swing, and now my natural swing is I don't have to turn up the swing on Koala. What you get is like, how is it swinging like that? Yeah, it's natural now. Now I finally got myself off the grid. But I come from that one shot, one kill. This is how you do it. This is how it has to be done. And I don't know, it kind of fed into everything in the long run.
How do you switch things up? Do you get this sometimes that you're like, I almost get stuck in a certain way?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's hard for me because I'm a drummer, you know? So to me, there's really not too many new drum patterns out there. There's really not too many ways to get off of it without adding something different, adding a different syncopation, adding some Latin drums in the background, just softly, just to give you a little bit of a ebb and flow to the way everything is moving. That's why I was panning my hi-hats back in the earlier days, because it took away from everything being right there, straightforward in your face. Let's move this over here. Now you got to follow the hi-hats around, or follow this wood block around, or That's how I got out of it, because I just started adding some of the things I learned in my younger years of having to play Latin music and having to play concert stuff from different countries and playing Beethoven and playing Bach, doing all that stuff. Just the intake of so many different genres at a young age, you know, I learned every drum rhythm there was. And it was like, well, if I just drag this a little bit here, drag this a little bit there, that's a completely different space, a completely different pocket, like everybody knows.
Call her Bridget, her man's a midget. Plus you got friends, yo, I can dig it. Here's a 40 swigget, you know it's frigid. I got him chilling in the cooler, break out the ruler.
Do you do this actually sometimes, that you would lay down the pattern and then start moving things in the grid?
Well, I do it while actually making it, because it's like when I'm making it, it's like me reading sheet music when I'm making beats. Well, specifically drums. It's like I'm reading sheet music in my head, so I can automatically tell where I need to drag and push something, from being yelled at to staying on the metronome. It's like, nah, this needs to be just right here. And I can physically do it without having to actually go into the piano roll, so to speak, and drag it. I can do it naturally. A lot of the times now, a lot of stuff now has been starting behind the grid, every last bit of it. The whole drum pattern is behind the downbeat, but the way it comes out, you can't really tell. It's kind of the delay from, like, I've been making stuff using my headphones now, and they're Bluetooth, so there's already a lag in it. So I've been fighting with that lately, and it gives me crazy patterns and stuff.
And this is actually,
making use of that handicap. And if I got to go in and tighten it up, I can tighten it up. But there's a couple of things I've just let it be.
This is such a crazy technique for all people out there. How would you be making music with like 2 seconds of latency, incorporating this into the swing?
Yep. Because it's like I can see the metronome, and I know that there's latency, but I can physically punch in that latency, knowing that it's off, and I can still hit it right where I need it to be at. And a lot of stuff is behind, is dragging a lot of it. It's like the iPad. It's like, now I gotta go buy different attachments so I can use headphones and all this. It's like, nah, I don't really have the time to go do that. Let me listen to it. All right, I can figure this out. And now I'm basically doing it with the latency. Bass lines too. Bass lines come out a little better that way, somewhat, having that drag in it.
Incredible. This is very inspiring. Like, I think this is one of the most inspiring messages to get out there. It's like, you can make it work.
The one-arm boxer. Anybody that watched old kung fu flicks, the one-arm boxer. Like, yeah, I got one arm tied behind my back, and I'm still making it happen.
What about like shopping? Do you get into like, I sometimes have it that I chop stuff the same way. And so I have like several techniques now where I know, like, okay, if it doesn't come out the way, like, I don't feel the chops, then I do a different, like, I approach it differently. And most of the times it changes the mood and the way that the track comes out. Like, it would be completely different tracks. Do you have something like that? Do you?
I envy everybody else chopping. I really do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how people can pick certain little spots out of. I I don't know how they do it. What I like to do, I just take random stuff. That's why I like Serato Sample.
Mm.
I just take all the random stuff and make something happen. Which you can do that in Koala 2 with the auto chop. I like using all the random stuff. How can I give me these random pieces and let me piece it together to make it sound right.
So you use this transient chopping for the most part?
Transit, you know, I've always, I want to say I came from micro chopping. When I came in, it was like, okay, you need to chop like this. It was kind of, I already understood you need to break it all the way down like this instead of having phrases. You know, take this part from here and there, but like how some people do, like Carl will take a sound from 15 seconds in and something from 2 minutes and 37 seconds in, or something from 1 minute and 27 seconds in, and then bring all that stuff together. I don't know how to find it like that. Just give me a bunch of little broken pieces and I can make a mosaic out of it. I can do it that way. It's just I came from that micro chopping world of things, breaking it all the way down to tiny pieces and putting it back together. I do the phrase stuff, you know. I love loops. I am 100% supporter of loops. Loop that 4-bar loop all day. I want 10 hours of it. I call them infinity loops. You can give me an infinity loop all day, and I'ma love it. But I love that. Do I make it all the time? No, because everybody's in their feelings about loops and this and that and the third. So I don't necessarily do it just to show, like, no, I can chop everything up. But I'd much rather give you just this 4 8-bar loop and let it play nonstop and let it soak in your brain. It's like, nah, this is the best part of the song. This is what you need to hear repeatedly. This is what feels good. Even though I come from the micro chopping side, break it down to the smallest sound, which I do in a lot of my stuff. It's like the very smallest sound that somehow I can drag it out into the entire song. It's always the process. If people saw the process and what I did, they were like, okay, yeah, that's crazy. How did you? I'm like, I don't know. This is what felt right.
Do you use the time stretching a lot for this type of situation?
Yep, time stretching, because it's not perfect. So a lot of people hate artifacts, and artifacts is another thing that I use to my advantage. It's like, yeah, that doesn't sound right, but if I put it with this, it's gonna make sense. To me, it makes sense. Like I had somebody tell me, like, yo, I haven't heard nobody do that since Flying Lotus. And I'm like, I can name you about 30 people that's doing this right now. You know, we're keeping those artifacts. We're like, Tatsu is a prime example. When you understand it, you get it. It's like splitting the stems. There's these artifacts. I've taken just those artifacts and used it throughout the whole song for texture. And I've taken a song and broke it down, and the artifacts you didn't know came from that. You're like, oh, that's just dope texture. And it's like, no, that's actually the song. You're just not hearing it how you would initially hear it. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and especially since the modern time stretching in Koala is such a powerful texturizer. It can, like, when using the drastic mode, like on the tiniest samples, it creates this beautiful, like, reverby thing going on. It's just, like, reverb for free, texture for free.
Yep.
It's just two taps.
Yep. Like I'll switch everything over to beats so that I can like go up and down the octaves, because you know in modern mode you can't, which is, I guess that is my one only complaint. But I switch it over to beats and it's just all of this glitching and everything that it does when it's in there. If that sample's gonna play out long enough, you're gonna hear all these artifacts and glitches and everything in it. And I just use all of it. I use all of it to my advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I can EQ something out here and there, but I take that handicap. I'll take it all day. That's how I started. And I'll use all of it.
And in terms of sidechaining, so I remember you switched at some point, or at least from the recording, I saw that you weren't actually sidechaining. You were making this parallel thing.
Oh, an AUM.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an AUM possibly? Man, I was doing so much. It's hard. I was doing so much. It was hard to explain. At one point, I had 26 compressors going at the same time. So it was just, I guess that's like an error of its own, because I was trying so hard to sound like I have the $20,000 studio with this, that, and the third, you know. So sometimes it was just the way the compressor was working, because you didn't necessarily I didn't have a side chain at the time. I was using Rough Rider, the Rough Rider compressor, and it was just the way that I was tweaking it. It had its own, it was sidechain and stuff. And then when I finally found the sidechain compressor, that's when I went to that 303 method, and I had 2 Rough Riders and a sidechain, and that got rid of like 16 compressors that I had on everything else. Like each channel had its own compressor because of the apps that I was using. The EQ, the 4 pockets. That's why I like 4 pocket stuff. Like it was just working right, and their EQ came with the compressor. So every channel had an EQ on it, and every channel was having its own separate type of compression. And then I ended up doing parallel processing my drums, and then sending it over to the sidechain bus. And yeah, it was a lot. I really have to go back in there and look at it to be able to explain it. It was a lot going on.
Yeah, I'd love to see that screenshot of the AUM session with the bazillion of things in there.
Yeah, the whole iPad just running hot. It's just like I am at 37% CPU usage right now. Shut it down. Like, nah, let me just get this last snare in, then I'll cut you off.
Do you use the sidechain in Koala Mixer, since they do you use it?
Yep. I use it. I use it for the sample, and I'll use it for the bass line. I haven't used it for vocals yet. Yeah, I use it now. It's nice. It's in there. Appreciate that. We've been needing that. How I've been getting it to sidechain and just Koala previously. That's how it works. Just turning up the compressor.
How do you like the new compressor? Just the compressor? Because it's like, to me, it's very different from this from the Live Effect compressor.
Yep, I use it. I use it on everything, and then I'm still using. Like, imagine taking the mixer away. Everything I was doing in regular Koala, all of that stuff is still there. Now I'm just adding the mixer and doing all the little stuff. Like the same settings that I've had on all my Koala stuff, without the mixer, is still there. The compressor's all the way up. a little bit of dirt on it, turn the vibraflange down a little bit. Then I go over into the mixer. Sometimes I use crush, sometimes I don't. Lately I've been liking how the pitch has been sounding in the live one. If I bring that down to about, say it's about 60%, because it does something. It just does this thing. It's like now, if nothing's time stretched, that gets slowed down. That's not hitting how it was hitting because it's not time stretched. It's making things a whole lot muddier. It's sounding like early 90s Memphis. And I like that sound. I love that sound. I love chopped and screwed. You know, I love that early Memphis and Tommy Wright the Third and early 3-6 and Project Pat. Like, that's the stuff I grew up on. So there might be a beat tape fully like that because I've really been enjoying that lately. Just dirty and dark.
Let's go! Yahoo!
I think I saw it in one of Tatsu's recordings that he'll just like lay out a beat and then put the pitch down, which creates a different beat. It's like it's not very speed. It doesn't slow. It's still in the tempo of your song, and kind of pitches everything separately down. Super amazing.
Everything reacts differently to it. Every single sound reacts differently to it, and then it's like, no, that's the beat. And I've been showing that lately in quite a few of the joints I've put out. It's like, yeah, here's the beat, but what I really wanted you to hear is this. That's at the end. And I turn and then I take that pitch down and they're like, no, this is what I wanted you to hear. This is the actual beat. Yeah, it came a little later, but this is the one that I actually like.
So I take it you have your favorite presets in this live. It's basically like a mixer, or before the mixer came, this was our mixer to put the master chain, if you will.
Yep. Little bit of crush. Like that's the thing with my AUM stuff. My bass lines back then, I would add that crush on just the bass line. But you can't do it. You can't do it now. Well, I guess you can because now we have that bit smasher. But the way that crush works on those bass lines in particular, I loved it. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I like about AUM was how I was able to do my bass lines. I could get those to sound as just. I like it. That was like perfection.
A bit crushed.
See,
baseline. Hey, what up, bud?
I'm outside chilling. This is where I get most of my inspiration, outside in the trees.
And do you sit outside as well when you're making music, or do you go back inside?
A lot of times, like most of the stuff, you know, it was usually me just laying in the bed. A lot of that stuff is me laying in the bed, just making stuff. And then lately I'll like come outside and I'll start something on the phone. The next thing I know, I pretty much have the full thing done. Then it's like, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and save this and I'll bring this back up later. Shoot it over to the iPad so I can do little tweaks because it's easier to see, easier to make those adjustments.
The oddest plugin in your collection that you really love?
That rhythm gear one that you put me on to. I really like that one. I think the most useful one that I've had has been the EQ, the 4 Pockets EQ, just because it has a built-in compressor and it has presets, even though I don't use them. It came with, it was that thing that I needed, like that multi-band EQ that I needed. And it just happened to have a dope compressor in there. That one, for sure. not really one in particular. I've just been a big fan of all the 4 pocket stuff. It just all worked. It all worked the way I needed it to work. Everything that I grabbed, it did what I needed it to do.
Yeah, you put me on the, what was it? What's the name of the plugin that has the tube amp in it? It's like vinyl. Vinyl tube amp. I can't remember the name, but it's still in the template of mine.
Yeah, that's theirs too. That one stayed. That one stays on. Stayed on with a soft tube instead of the hard tube. It just gave it this texture that just felt good. It gave it a good warmth to it.
Absolutely. And in Koala, from the like what's your favorite thing there? So life effects, we just covered those favorites. From the newer, like from this mixer set of plugins, you already have something that is like
the tape delay. Once I started doing those scratches, it was like, yep, that's me. That's mine right there.
Yeah,
that's definitely the one. I haven't really. I mean, I used the bed crusher one and the compressor, the sidechain. Sidechain was always important. I really love that tape delay though. Even without me doing the scratches with it, just having it is really powerful. And I only use it at like 3% because anything past that, I mean, even the old dub, the dub on the live one, that one was definitely one of my favorites. If you get that right above the B, it's a perfect sweet spot right above the B where it needs to be at. The dub is definitely one of my favorites.
Right above it. I love it how the settings of live effects are measured in where it stands to the name.
Yep. Yep. Just get it right above the B, and you right there. That's that sweet spot that you're gonna want.
But that you were using on the master or like on a sample and then resample or whatever.
With the dub. That one I was able to use it more in AUM because I only wanted it on the sample, and it would make the sample so huge. It would it would create this stereo with it that is just that dub is unmatched for real. The way that it would just take that sample and throw it out there. And then with AUM, some of their built-in stuff like the mid to side stuff, I was doing a lot of that too. So I would have my sample would be split up into 2 channels. One would just be the regular sample, and then the other one would be the sample with dub on it. And I would take the middle out of the one with the dub on it, and I'd take the outside and I'd bring it in on the normal one to kind of mono it just a little bit, and it works perfectly. And now I do the same thing with the bass. I basically mono the bass with that one. So some of the built-in stuff in AUM is really good too. Just the built-in, mainly that mid to side stuff, the stereo stuff that I was using, that helped out a lot. Which is also another thing, Koala. I know you can hear me, even though this isn't out yet. I know you already hear me talking about it. We need something to control some stereo in it. I'm slowly figuring out how to use some of the stuff that's in there to get that. Now I'm chasing the sound that I was getting out of AUM straight out of Koala. When I was in AUM, I was chasing the sound of what I would have gotten on a DAW. So It's like dialing it all back to being right here in my hand. If I could
Mm-hmm.
do sound like a whole studio session in one hand.
Do you have any favorite techniques, little hacks that make you move faster in Koala when working on a beat?
And then too, I don't go past 16 chops.
Oh, okay.
I force myself to deal with whatever 16 that it gives me, whether it's the transient one or the equal one.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it the loose one, the freehand one. But even then, I'm still chopping it like every downbeat or whatever like that. But I really keep everything down to 16 chops. If I want more than 16, I have to take another section and go to the next one and then do another 16 chops. I don't chop it past 16. I just force myself to deal with the 16 it comes with. Now Serato Sample, that's a different story. Yeah, it's 32 random ones, which soon I'll be getting back into Serato Studio for some future stuff.
And it's the same with the SP as well. Since it only chops to 16 max, it like keeps your focus, because it's harder to switch between, like, can't play them anyway on the phone itself. So
yeah,
another handicap that is really handy, I guess.
Oh yeah, I just keep a handicap. Just that's the only way I can stay creative. I have to find a way out. It's like, no, you have to find a way out of it. How can you make this slap 16 chops? Like even referring to the Duke Westlake challenge, because I just finished it like a couple hours ago. I made a whole beat just off of the 16 pads in A. Then I actually chopped up the sample in B, in the B section, and made a whole one out of that. And then I took the sample and sent it over to C and made a third completely different thing. So I'm forcing myself to only work within these 16 every single time. It's cool. It's working out.
That's dope. And you mentioned Serato now several times in terms of like this go-to. What would you say would you go to if Koala wasn't there? Or yeah, basically.
If Koala wasn't around, yeah, I'd be in Serato. That was the closest one to being as simple. Or I would have been back on the SP, because I went from FL to Ableton. Things were going great in Ableton. I was finally figuring it out, how to use it and everything. And then I noticed, yeah, I'm doing way too much sound design in here. I'm tweaking every last sound, and it's like I can't make the beat because I'm too busy getting every single sound right. So then I backed away from Ableton, and I had bought my 404. I studied the 404 for 3 years before I even bought one. So once I got it, I knew exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And it was cool. I had my PTO one. I'm sampling vinyl straight into the SP and just rocking out like that. And then it was like, all right, let me jump back into Ableton a little bit just so I don't get rusty. And then Serato Studio came out, and it was like, okay, this is what I've wanted the entire time. I can do all the sound design stuff. I can use the contact instruments and everything. I can do all of that stuff, but I still have a little bit of a handicap in how much of this extra stuff I can do. And it just felt, it was that perfect place for me.
Here? Really?
That's kind of how that played out. Yeah, I just ended it, and I love the sound that Serato had, because every DAW has its own sound to it. And to me, Serato's sound was kind of how FL was to me. It just knocked, it hit harder. Where Ableton was just kind of polished. It was this polished sound to it. It was this perfection to it. So Ableton had to take the back seat for all the dirt and dust. Like even now, I opened my laptop for the first time in over 2 years a couple weeks ago. Because I've just been enjoying the dirt and everything that I get from Koala, the dirt that I add in with Koala and you being on my phone and being on the iPad.
They did something. Serato seems to have done something for in terms of this simplicity. I never tried it, but from what I've seen so far, it seems to be close because it's like what you mentioned, this immediate chopping that just gives you a bunch of stuff to work with.
It's a beauty in the simplicity. You know, I think I guess that's like the whole thing with me. There's a beauty in the simplicity and not making everything so complex. It's just, this is what you get. Use it. Paint this picture with 4 colors. You get 4 colors. Paint this picture. Paint a Rembrandt with 4 colors. You can mix those colors together. I'll give you the primary colors. How about that? We'll figure it out. It's a beauty in that.
Absolutely. Seems to be working for you.
Man, trying.
Do you have like a tip on whom to follow on sounds? Well, apart from random shit, like do you have anything that kind of can train the algorithm to give you interesting stuff? You mentioned the vocalists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everything is so random. I guess, I mean, I follow a lot of drummers because I am a drummer, you know. So I guess that's one way I trick the algorithm. They're giving me drummers and people that are putting out stuff like piano players, dope keyboard artists or something. And then a lot of stuff I just pick up stuff from y'all, from the homies, because y'all know more than I be knowing. So I just, whatever names y'all drop, it's like, all right, what's going on over there? I pick up a lot from the homies just through random conversation, just from me listening. I don't ask. It's just I pick up stuff. If y'all like it, then I know it's dope. There's no need for me to even worry about if it's dope or not.
How did you find or heard about Sidechain?
Shout out to Sidechain, the good folk. Who's that? Drew Blink. We have Stolen Drums.
Stolen Drums, yep.
Yes, leader over there.
When I finally decided to take making beats serious in like 2018, I had never heard of lo-fi. One of my homies, he was like, "Hey man, you should check out this guy Stolen Drums." I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. This is back when drums was just doing the Facebook lives, the beats and chills. This is old veggie taco days, you know. And I was like, and he had a live stream and he sent it to me. He was like, "You need to check this guy out. This might be who you need to be listening to." And I've basically been hooked since. Like I've been there ever since. Like way back then, I would be in the chat telling drums to put Pee Wee Longway vocals over these beats. I was telling them to put all the trap rappers over the beats. Like, nah, you need to put 21 Savage over this. That'll go crazy. you know, and then like as what drums has done is evolved. Like I've been right there the entire time, mainly as a fan. Like I was a fan of what he was doing, which I learned about everybody else that was doing things similar to him, making similar music. Because it's like I couldn't have told you that Ski Beats made one of the beats that made me want to be a producer. I would have never been able to tell anybody that until finding my tribe, basically. And now I can say, when I first heard Lucini by Camp Low,
This is it. What? Lucini pouring from the sky.
That's when it started. That's when I wanted to make beats. And then the next one that came after that was Loving It, Feeling It, Little Brother. Ninth Wonder, the one with Joe Scudder.
And we get it started up one more time.
Like, that was like, okay, I need to learn how to make beats. I'm already making music, but I need to learn how to do this. What is this? I need to do this. This is what I should be doing.
When Tay pull his verses out, promoters pull their purses out.
Shout out to the homies though. Really, this is all everybody else.
Does somebody inspire you like currently in the same way Drums did with his a few years ago?
Really? Knowledge does, because of those infinity loops. Like Knowledge does. Like every time he does something, it's like, man, I wish I did that. Like I want to, but I can't. You done it now, so I'm gonna leave it alone. That's one of them ones. Who else? I mean, all of the homies in Sidechain, the homies at 40 Acres, the homies at Sunday Dinner Records. They're out there in Dallas too. I'm inspired by my friends because they're constantly dropping content, and it's just like I wish. And I'm definitely chasing Tatsumaki. Around the universe, I'm definitely chasing him. Like every single time, I message him all the time. It's like, bruh, how? Like how? Just like how? That's it. Just how? He helped me with my bass lines way back. He gave me a tip on it, how he was using one of the settings in Koala. What's the one that usually pops up when you go to the pentatonic? He showed me how he was using that a long time ago, and that changed a lot of how I was doing my bass lines. So yeah, I'm definitely chasing him all over Namek, picking up little jewels that he drops every single time.
The funniest, most like a recent anecdote was I messaged him about this, like, Mixer, what do you think? He was like, I don't really use it.
and I know for a fact that's a true statement. He's probably not using it. It's still like day one. It's still day one original. If it ain't broke, you can't necessarily fix what he's doing. Like what he's doing is just, I still don't get it. You're not supposed to be able to do that. We're definitely a tribe of we're gonna figure it out. Like it's not supposed to happen, and guess what? We're gonna make it happen.
I'm an island boy, and I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy.
In terms of like, this is less about inspiration, but who would you love to play your funeral, dead or alive?
Who would I love to play my funeral? Which is funny because I already had that. I've had that picked out for years. I want Zaytoven to play at my funeral.
A regular day, I'm more chiller than y'all. Damn it.
For sure. I hear you.
Zaytoven has to play the organ and the keys at my funeral. Would I be able to get Gucci Mane to rap at it? Probably not. But definitely, if it happens, get Zaytoven over there to play at my funeral.
Mm-hmm. And Gucci would do the raps.
I'm back off in the kitchen working with a chick.
Mm-hmm. If it was possible.
So,
Most definitely. I mean, it would either be, the only other option would be Jimi Hendrix. If it's not Zaytoven, it'd have to be Jimmy.
mm-hmm.
You'd get the same feel. You'd get the same feel out of it.
And yeah, finally, what's the most important production lesson that you've learned?
None of it matters. None of it matters. Fuck the rules. The rules. Find out what the rule is so that you can break it. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's always going to come back down to feeling. What emotion can you invoke? You know. So none of it matters. Does it slap? That's always going to be the final say. So do it slap? Oh, it does. Then it did what it was supposed to do.
Amazing stuff.
Appreciate it, man. I mean, if I'm inspiring folks, that's what's up. That means I'm doing something right. I'm doing my job. You know, I took this seriously just to teach my kids how to do it. If I'm inspiring other folks outside of my kids, then yeah, I'm ahead of the game so far.
Oh, absolutely.
I got the bombs, I'm hard like bronze, but I swole your arms and the contrary.
And thank you for letting me pick your brain. It's like you're definitely one of them who is like, just do the, like, make it slap with less. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, just make it slap. Make it slap and then add on to it. If you can make it slap a kick and a hi-hat and a snare and chop up those samples, make it slap there first. Don't worry about all the extra. Make it, they're like, yeah, this is it. Then you can take your time and do a little pleasantries and yeah, just keep it simple. You're wasting too much time. You're wasting too much creativity. When you can be just knocking them out. Come back to it.
No, yeah, that's the lesson of today's show. So thanks for that. Thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully, I'll pull up. I'll tap in like I usually do.
Have a great one. Enjoy your kids. Enjoy Koala.
Yeah, man.
Make them slappers.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to hear the next one.
Yeah, man. Till next time. I'm
Peace.
somewhere on the internet. You'll always find me. I'm somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Internet.
Oh yeah.
I only come out when somebody send up the smoke signal. All right, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. OG Yasuke, have a great one.
You too.
Till next time. Peace.
Later.